welcome back. And we're moving into our second segment for today as we discuss safety over the Christmas season. We have with us on set ASP Gerald Jones, who's the commander of the community-oriented policing, and Corporal Aaron Ferguson, who is the police public relations officer. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you for coming in as well. We know there are quite a number of concerns that people have regarding safety at this time of year. So let's start off by finding out what is being done by the department to be able to enhance your visibility during this time.
Well, first and foremost, when it comes to safety issues, we have definitely launched the addressing crimes together. And we definitely have our relief patrols, patrolling officers patrolling the different zones. And we also have our Christmas crime prevention extra patrol methods. So there's 3 different patrolling on the grounds. And you will see this happening countrywide because our Christmas anti-crime patrol starts 1st of December. So you will see that countrywide. There's more extra patrols, more police checkpoints. And of course, we will have some cadets who will be out there issuing out some pamphlets for us to be safe when it comes to the Christmas season.
So while we have the presence of additional boots on the ground, what can individuals do on a personal level to ensure their safety in terms of either being out in the public or in the confines of their offices or their homes?
Well, when it comes to that, what we implore on our citizens to do is to be patient with us whenever we're carrying out our duties. Yes, there are some frustrating times when it comes to some long checkpoints and vehicles and bumper to bumper. I experienced that just this morning on the highway. But we just ask for their full participation and cooperation with us. And when it comes to your dressing, when you go out there, for example, going to purchase anything at the local grocery store or business place, we ask that you try to minimize your amount of jewelry that you use. These things are items that attract perpetrators. We have seen some footages last week that occurred, and so once you want to minimize that, that is good for us. Whenever going to the ATM, because a lot of people will be using the ATM, you want to make sure that before you left from that ATM section, that you secure your finance in your wallet, in your purse, in your handbag before you leave. Because at the end of the day, whenever you come out of that cubicle, then obviously people seeing you putting cash in your wallet, they will want to monitor you, and then you could eventually get robbed.
Now let me go a little bit further with that, because I think what you're pointing out are some of the common areas that you all see as police officers, reports that you see. Tell us about some of the other threats that perhaps we are oblivious to. We need to pay attention to jewelry that we wear. We need to pay attention to who's around when we enter and exit the ATM and properly securing our cash. What are some of the other things that you know to be the trends?
Well, let me add one that is, I believe, need to be looked at very closely. This is the Christmas season. We have a lot of people going on out there shopping and getting new items. One of the things that we definitely noted that around this time that the burglaries, they have tendency of stepping up. If you would go out there and purchase, let's say, per se, a brand new TV, a radio, or what have you, don't take that same box, that item come in and place it right in front of your home.
That's right.
In a drum. I would encourage you all to, dismantle that as much as possible. You don't want to walk, let's say, in front of Mr. Jones' house and see a 50-inch television. You have us to those out there that, go around jeopardizing people that you have a brand new TV, I'm going to target him. So that's one of the things that we encourage people out there to not do. Not display your empty cartoons visibly.
This
I
is
think-
a very important point,
Yeah.
and I think it goes beyond what you advertise outside. We know that there are more robberies taking place, more burglaries are taking
Burglaries,
more
place,
burglaries.
your police terms. People
problem.
breaking into homes.
Yes,
Yes.
More during the season, and it's a very challenging thing for homeowners to deal with. In other words, if I lock my doors and my windows when I leave my house, I'm hoping it'll be secure. What else can I do? We also have to take into consideration those people who are coming from the outskirts, Hattieville, Ladyville, Los Lagos, and these places will be left for most of the day. What can we do?
As a resident of Hattieville, coincidentally, what I normally do is that I communicate with my neighbor.
Okay.
I would say to him that I'm leaving and can you please look after my property, or I will do the same for him. And of course, I would try my best to make sure that my place is properly locked and secure. We cannot overemphasize on lock and secure when it comes to that.
Yeah.
There are some people who are patrolling the area, walking around the area to see where they can use that opportunity to come in.
Yeah.
Because most of the people in the Hattieville area are people who work. So most of the time your property is left alone.
Yeah.
So we ask them to purchase cameras and so forth, and encourage a lot of neighborhood watch groups to look after affairs. We even created a WhatsApp group for the officers to monitor certain things. But when it comes to property, that is very, very important for us to understand, lock and secure.
I'd like to add to that, I believe proper lighting at night. You know, we have people have the tendency of going out, don't want to put on the lights, you know, around the yard. You know, we encourage that you left on adequate lights within your area. And secondly, the shrubs around your house, kindly get it trimmed down so that another neighbor, not
That's
because
right.
you inform the neighbor, that means that the neighbor can visibly see across your yard. So we encourage that you have your you know, trees, you know, people like the trees and so on, growing tall, but we encourage that you level it to a adequate height so that your neighbors can readily look across if anything illegal, suspicious is going on
I
around
think
the area.
one of the aspects that I look at as a homeowner is the fact that there has to be some degree of neighborliness,
Yes,
in a manner of
definitely.
speaking, so that you're able to share a certain relationship with your next door neighbor.
Yep.
That person keeps an eye on your property, you keep an eye on that person's property, and the same goes for their children and what have you.
That's right.
Just so that there's that level of accountability to each other. Perhaps you're taking a trip, perhaps you're downtown shopping, and someone needs to look after, or at least keep an eye out on your assets at home,
Yep.
right? You find that a lot of people, they don't really say hello, good morning to their
Yes.
neighbor. They don't really bother with that. So that when things happen, nobody feels obligated to inform you of anything because they don't have that sense of familiarity with you. Do you, as an officer who deals in community-oriented policing, encourage this kind of neighborliness?
Yes, very much so through our meet and greet program, right? Through our neighborhood watch programs. There's another gray area that I normally see people do. We actually see that happen. I'm out of my house for today. Kindly contact later on. Don't leave notes announcing your absence from your home.
Or post it on your Facebook.
And post it on your Facebook. These are obvious reasons why people will have opportunities to come in. You know, some people are very skilled when it comes to opportunities to
There was
burglarizing
once a
your
commercial
home.
I saw where somebody posted that they were going on a vacation.
Yes.
And they're so
Even
happy.
businesses
And it
are
was,
discouraged. Yeah.
it was liked by the robbers. It was liked by the thieves.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Because you are telling people my house may potentially be empty.
You're advertising.
Advertising.
You're seeing it out on the Facebook, up and about in Panama, up and
Yeah.
about in Mexico. So what happened to your residents?
Yeah.
Then obviously somebody will come in and do what they need to do. Right?
Again, though, I like the neighborly aspect because you're talking in some instances where people aren't just using the doors and the windows. They break through walls. They, pull out your AC unit to get in. They get through your floor, whatever it is, to get in, especially if they know in these areas that you will be out of the house for all of the day. I know the patrolling is also becoming important. And some people also are venturing into putting in cameras and alarms, but even those can be too little too late. What can someone do if perhaps, let's say I put in an alarm system. Should I tell the police that if you hear it, or the police in my neighborhood, if you hear it, or can I call them and say my alarm went off? What are some of the things that we can be proactive about?
They can communicate with the officer commanding that jurisdiction, that formation.
Okay.
That I have recently installed an alarm system. Can you monitor this situation for me?
Okay.
Then the officer would advise them as to what to do when it
Okay.
comes to that aspect of it. That is something that we encourage a lot, and it helps us because it is extra eyes and ears for us out there. One of the areas that we want to really encourage, though, when it comes to vehicles, very important. We have seen an increase of citizens purchasing vehicles, and they will stop at the local grocery store, business place to purchase items, but yet the vehicle is locked and secure, yes, but on the seat you will find this laptop bag or some kind of finance or some other properties, even firearms.
Oh.
We ask that we ask people, the resident citizenry, to be careful when it comes to that.
Yeah.
If you have to put those things underneath your seat for lock and security purposes, because the perpetrators will go and peep through the window.
And then they'll break the gypsy glass.
And of course break the gypsy glass, and then
tinted,
of course unlock the door, and then make good with their items. So very, very key
And that's
area.
one of the harder ones to catch people as well, because
It is a bit more challenging because even though we do have a lot of cameras in the city, we ask that you just do that necessary precautions, especially going to the back remote areas. I noticed that recently we have places being open on Marine Parade, and you have also in the Fort George area. Secure your items. It is very much more important.
now making a report is also important.
Yes.
And sometimes we see fishy activity, and we don't know if we should call the police because maybe they won't take me serious, or how do I know if somebody's being if it's worthwhile for me to report somebody's strange activity?
At the control room, we try our best to document every single report that comes in. There are a number of reports that probably are not reported. We cannot measure that, but we definitely can. We have been documenting those reports.
Okay.
If you see something out there, Mr. Brass have always been saying it, seeing something, Ms. Phillips saying the same thing, see something, say something, stop something. You're helping someone, you're helping yourself later on. Because these perpetrators, we need to take them off the streets, and we need to have them come to some closure when it comes to justice. So I would encourage people to call the 911. It is very, very, I can call it right now, and they answer me
free of cost.
quick. And it was free of cost. It is a confidential information that you're giving, and also the 922. Right? But we definitely look at all reports when it comes to the police control room.
Now speak on the issue of businesses. A lot of business owners, this is the high point in terms of commercial activity this time of year. What are some of the precautions that some of the business owners can put in place in terms of protecting their cash assets in their businesses?
Let me add to the businesses. Definitely business owner, I know at this time you do transaction, definitely you would have to visit the banks to deposit your money. We ask that whilst going to do deposit, do not do it at the same date or time. You know, your strategies have to be changed because, like what I said, the robbers, they are out there standing by idly, don't have anything to do. They monitor the time you go, you know, to deposit, what day you go to do deposit, what you're carrying along your deposit money in. So all of that you have to change. You know, the bags that you would normally take around, that everybody know that there's a bag that you go and deposit money in. You can change that. You know, you can even have somebody else go and deposit that money rather than you one going down to that location. And if you have to go, we ask that you could put into place also a surveillance vehicle ahead of you. You know, that person will
That's
go
good.
basically and monitor to see if any
Scout the area.
suspicious person is around, and if that is a visible, then call the 911 immediately, and the police will definitely come in and assist you. So that is some of the things that a business owner can be aware of during this holiday time.
If needs be, to expand on what Mr. Ferguson mentioned, if needs be that you have to hire extra security officers just to make sure that you have that successful night deposit and those things, we encourage that.
Yeah.
If you're going by the police station, speak to one of the commanders, because having your assets being secured, it is a boost in the economy as well.
Yeah.
So it is very important for us to understand those aspects of crime prevention. Another thing that we really want to look at is the fact that when it comes to your home, people want to express themselves in terms of placing your Christmas, the gifts underneath of the Christmas tree. It is a tradition. But again, if I do have the French windows and the windows that I can peep through,
Yeah.
and my property is not secure, then obviously somebody can go and peep in there, and then that is a vulnerability again for those people to have an opportunity to go in.
So we spoke about securing your house and your business, and also not leaving valuable items in your car.
Yeah.
We also know that we also see a lot of accidents around this time too.
Yes.
And you spoke about checkpoints. Tell us what you're aiming to be able to achieve with the checkpoints. Maybe people will be a little bit more forgiving about the wait if they understand why it's necessary.
The checkpoint situation, it is very complex. There's a lot of patience that has to be exercised there. What we look for is definitely the most important, the documentation. If a vehicle is properly insured, if a vehicle is properly licensed, are you licensed to drive that motor vehicle? The type of motor vehicle, the motorcycles, persons who are riding, they're driving, they're riding the motorcycle without helmets. These are things that you, the driver, can be ticketed on. Seat belts, right? If you have a light that is not working, all of these are safety issues that we want to encourage for people to look at. So if your brake light is out, you want to get that fixed, because when you're driving that motor vehicle, you're not driving only for yourself. You're driving for other pedestrians who are using the highway, who are using the pathway, the sidewalks, etc., the road, and also for yourself, the safety of other occupants in your vehicle as well. So most importantly, this is the festive season. We want to stop at the nearest bar or a place where we can purchase a bottle. Exercise that. The designated driver, that is something that we cannot overemphasize on. We have seen the amount of increase when it comes to road traffic incidents. And it is so hard for us to come to terms when someone just abruptly leave us. So let us do the preventative methods first, right?
Let me ask a question here, and I perhaps this is may not be the forum, but you'll allow me nonetheless.
Yes.
Why is it that all checkpoints in Belize City are south to north and not north to south? We're thinking from a general layman's perspective here that, for instance, the trafficking of drugs and guns go both ways.
Definitely.
But it gives the impression that it's only south side coming over onto this side of the city. You have to stop and check them, Belcan Bridge, at the Chatamal Street and other areas of the city, but it's always crossing over to this side and never on the other side. Why is that?
That is a question that is a bit challenging for me to answer, because operational methodologies are mostly based on strategies from the commanders. They see the need to implement it that way, and so they would be able to answer that, why they see the need to address it that way. But point being note and taken, of course, I can talk to the commanders, but I don't think that it is something that is really out there to say that there's a situation here and there, but it is just a strategy that I think that they adopted.
Adding to that point, and because we know there are really excellent, hardworking police officers in this country. But there are a few who tend to give the entire department a bad name every now and again. So I want you to tell me some of the things that perhaps are allowed for or aren't allowed for by someone at a checkpoint. We'll start with people who want to register your name and your license on your car. Is that something that the police should be doing?
For accountability purposes, yes.
So they're supposed to be registering every time you pass through a checkpoint?
Well, yes, they should, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that, especially now, we want to make sure that accountability is in place.
Okay.
If we have a suspicion that you're carrying something, or most of the time we get an information from the police control room that there is this color vehicle at this particular area, and this vehicle is going to pass this checkpoint, kindly be on the lookout for X, Y, and Z. So it is important for us to do that.
You cannot pay a ticket that is being issued on the spot.
No.
I know, I'm just saying, we know some of the corrupt practices that take place. Yeah. So
very important key information. Very good.
So if you are to get a ticket, you ask for you receive your ticket and you will pay that where you're supposed to pay after.
That's right, at the town
Yes.
council, city council.
Okay. What else do you know that sometimes people fall for that isn't necessarily?
You can't extort.
Of course you can't extort.
Some
But
officers,
sometimes people don't know. They think it's a police officer. If they say I have to pay this now, I pay this now. People still trust the department, and not all officers use that trust properly.
My father was a victim of that recently.
Yeah.
And he called me and I told him not to give.
Yeah.
Because they were asking for the money on the spot.
For the ticket.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I told him not to, but they wanted to use him or make him an example or thing of that sort. But I just advised him, and I took my vehicle and I drove it all the way to the checkpoint, and I spoke to the officer, and we were able to deal with the situation. But very good point for the citizens to know. Don't pay any finance or any fee on the spot when it comes to the checkpoint. If you are being ticketed, then obviously you just go and pay it at the respectable place that you have to.
To add to that, Mr. Jones, I believe that just as in the case that police need to get particulars from you, you can get the particulars from the police, right?
Request
so
it.
the police officer, most police officer would have a number that they go by, the regulation number. If not, you are, as a citizen, can ask the police his or her name. So that police are obligated to give you their particulars likewise. So in the case that a police want to extort you, you can definitely document the time that you visited that checkpoint, and we will be able to definitely verify
So
who
if you can't
was
get
at
the
that
number,
checkpoint
at
the
least
time.
the time at the checkpoint, 'cause
and
you'll
where
be
you
able
at, the location, and we will be more than able, to find out who that police officer is. So definitely you guys have the authority to.
Speaking on checkpoints, I know that the officers are working closely with the traffic department.
Well done. Yes.
In terms of being able to monitor the flow of traffic.
Yes.
This time of year as well is when a lot of cab drivers get jobs because they're heading downtown for people who are shopping. Same thing with the dollar vans, right?
Yes.
How do you guys regulate the race between the dollar vans, for instance, on Mahogany Street, or the cabs, the congestion of taxis that are running to downtown Belize City? How do you guys regulate that through the checkpoints?
It is a bit challenging again because of the mentality of some of the cab drivers. I am a victim of that when it comes to the irregularity, because these dollar van would want to stop anyway to take on passengers and even to have them come off the vehicle. Right? And that is obstructing the traffic. It is really, you have a lot of patience, you try to tolerate it, but we are trying to work closely with the traffic, and I noticed that recently they have been placing a person at the Water Lane junction with the Orange Street. And that is the gray area that we do have a lot of congestions when it comes to the dollar van. And you will see them overcrowd when it comes to moving from that location. So it is a challenge that we have to look into because we have a number of dollar van.
Well, in time like this, we as our drivers, not only the dollar
Yes,
van, because
definitely.
we have other people going out in their personal vehicles likewise, and this question is, you know, we asked of that. Because, you know, even a private citizen, I don't see people parking wherever and whichever they feel like. So we ask, in this time of festivity, everybody will be around, moving along, want to get business done. We ask that, you know, you be cognizant of the other person wanting to utilize the free flow of the traffic likewise. So that's about it.
What else would you like to tell us about safety during the Christmas?
Well, when it comes to the motor vehicles, again, I noticed that a number of traffic accidents, incidents occurred where you'll have this driver drive the motor vehicle and is trying to turn into the left, right? And they actually drive their vehicle in the middle of the highway and
It's actually
stop the
illegal.
whole
Yeah.
free flow of traffic.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is something very, very bad.
Yeah.
The
It's
law
actually
of
against the law,
the rules of the road is that you will have to pull off on the right-hand side
Until you have
until you have a clearance so that you can move over into your left and go about your way. These are things that it is quite disheartening when you're driving on the highway. I drive on the highway a lot,
Yeah.
and you will have to beep or blowing this person to move off to the side of the road because they actually give you the indication, putting on their indicators that they're taking the left, and that is wrong, especially on a major highway.
Absolutely.
Another thing that we really want to highlight is that if you're a person who works in these business places and you're shopping as well, you use one route, we ask that you change your route every now and again because you are being monitored. People monitor you when you
Yeah.
shop. Don't make it be too obvious that you probably have some kind of finance in your possession because these are opportunities that people look at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't have like wads of cash in your purse or
Yes.
stuff
Yeah,
like
the cash
that.
register.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when you talk about personal safety, again, we know one of the things that the police department really speaks about is don't walk with earphones or visible
phone,
mobile
yeah,
technology,
texting
whether
and
you're on your
going,
phone or
Vehicles,
yeah.
Because you're not focused then.
Yeah.
When you're walking, going to your business place or whatever, you need to be focused. You need to stay focused. I've seen a lot of people having these headphones, yes, and they, of course, they ones to the top, and texting, yes, whilst walking. Some of them even trip. I laugh sometimes. But they're not focused, and you have to stay focused. As a matter of fact, we try to encourage our own officers not to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like to add to, you know, holiday safety tips. You know, a lot of people will be having private parties and, you know, going on to even public parties. You know, in our safety pamphlet, we have be careful, you know, and always observe when the drinks are being made.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, nowadays
Somebody will
people
spike
drop a
your drink.
capsule or whatever have you in there. You know, be cognizant of your surrounding and who is mixing your drink. You know, also be in a company of you know, people that you can trust. You know, we want to emphasize on that if you're going to go out there, you're going to go partying, be in you know, company that you can trust somebody. You don't want to go out there with somebody that you cannot trust, especially after you having a drink or two. So we emphasize on that too.
And for for private parties too, what is the cutoff time for the music?
Well, we don't.
The noise pollution?
Well, that is depending on the environment. As when you look at that, it is like constitutional. You can, but you have to understand that other people are your neighbors too. So you don't really want to have that music all the way up. And the environmental protection will talk about some 35 decibels and so forth when it comes to the noise pollution. But it can be controlled by having your own private party, no problem. But remember, neighbors are next door, right? And speaking of that, the alcohol issue, we want to have people bear in mind that you need to know your limit. Some people can consume 25 guineas while to get a buzz or or get high, while others might only use only one bottle, and then, you know, so you need to know your limit. You need to control yourself when consuming alcoholic beverage. But most importantly, just be safe.
Well, thank you once again. And as you said, there is a tip line. People can call into if they see anything suspicious. What's the tip line again?
Well, we do have a number of them on the brochures,
Okay.
and we will be putting these up on the Facebook page today,
Okay.
so that we can have the citizenry to view them.
Excellent.
One part of it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming in and reminding us of the things that we need to do to keep ourselves and our property safe.
Definitely.
All right. We're going to go ahead and take that final break now, and when we come back, we'll have our wrap up. So stay tuned.